2009 Hyundai Sonata. This one, customer complaint is, I'll show you here, when I start it up, I turn the lights on. It's kind of hard to see because it's light in here now, but these backlights on the instrument cluster, they don't work, as well as these lights here, the running lights don't work. The left side does, the brake lights work, the reverse lights work, the front headlights work, but the back ones and the instrument cluster work. So student driver, right, car, so when you're driving that, obviously that's not going to work for what they're doing. Notice this one here, this running light there works, but if you look on the other side, I don't believe the other side's working. No, it's not. And I believe it's part of the same circuit. I'll show you, I got some schematics downloaded for this Hyundai. So we'll take a look at all that. And see what we can come up with. Just show you something real quick. You got Steve there cutting wood. It's kind of cold out. Right, Steve? He's a little shy again. But anyways, what we'll do now is we'll pull up schematics and go from there. All right, so the fuse that keeps blowing is the one, obviously there on top row. Second one in, between the 10 and 15 amp. That's the one that keeps blowing. So if you look here, that fuse is the 10 amp right hand, or 10 amp tail right hand, but it powers more just the right hand lights. I'll show you that real quick next. All right, so I put a new 10 amp on there. You have to listen very carefully, but it's going to pop as soon as I turn the lights on. Here I go right now. You can probably hear it and see it. Obviously, that's a direct short to ground. If you look, it blew it right away. So what we're going to do now is pull up schematics. We got Steve making burgers again. I'm going to pull up some schematics. I downloaded it, Hyundai service data. There's no reason to hook up the Autel. I hooked it up the other day. There's no codes in there for that. But we brought the Ultra with, so you can use the VCMI as a, you know, a multimeter, all that stuff. Got an AS wave kit with a bunch of leads, probes. I don't know what we're going to need yet. But anyways, you go into the Hunt service data. Let me grab a chair. All right. Oh, come on, focus. So I go into the service data. Got to remember which one it is here. And instead of keep blowing all these fuses, we're going to use a circuit breaker. We'll put it in there so we can keep resetting it. I just want to show you from the very beginning what we got going on for schematics. Let me find it. All right, so this schematic here, bear with me, the schematic diagram 928-1. Got your left-hand fuse, which is fine, and your right-hand tail fuse, which is blowing. This one keeps blowing. Well, if you go down, it goes to B, to right tail lamp schematic diagram 928-2. It also goes to passenger compartment fuse detail schematic diagram 120-3. This thing would focus, so it splits off there. And then it also goes to this right headlamp. The right headlamp works, but the right side marker lamp's not working. If you remember just from a little bit ago, this right side marker is not working. The light is, but that part's not. So this is the fuse that keeps blowing, which is passenger compartment junction block. It's not in the passenger compartment or in the passenger side. It's in the passenger compartment, which is on the driver's side. Okay, so now let's go to B and let's go to the other one. So let's go to 928-2. So then it goes to this. It comes from B, comes from 928-1. It goes down, it powers up your left license plate, your right license plate lamp, your right rear combination lamp in, your right rear combination lamp out. It goes to ground, which are these lights here. And your license plate lamps up here, which those were not on at all either. So then, if you go back, schematic diagram 120-3, you go in here. So we got all lights so far. And if you go up here, this is 120-3, the SD 120-3. Your fuse, same one. Come on, focus. So then right here, it goes to your glove box lamp, your right headlamp, the one we just talked about. It's just the same circuit. Right rear combination, all right rear combination in, which we talked about. Right license plate, left license plate. We already talked about all that. But it also goes to a joint connector, SD 120-4. So you go to 120-4. And if you look, there's the fuse coming in A with or without daytime running lights. It has daytime running lights, so it goes to that module. It goes down to this joint connector, which it goes up your shift lever indicator, AC control module, which is lights, adjustable pedal switch if it has it, right rear power window switch. It's not the switch, it's the lights in the switch, passenger switch, multifunction switch, audio, ECS switch. They're not switches, it's all the lights that go into that. And then, yeah, that's everything that goes into that. So it's all illumination stuff. It's all lights. So I'm going to get to this joint connector, this M82 joint connector. If you also look, pulled up these other circuits, the 941-1 is the illumination circuits. If you look at this, the tail right-hand fuse, this one keeps blowing, goes to your glove box lamp, your switch to turn the light on, the ground. But it also goes down with your daytime running lights, over to your joint connector, through your rheostat, which is your lights adjustment. And then if you look at this one, there's your joint connector we're talking about, which powers up, not powers, it's all the lights for all these modules. It's just illumination. That's what this whole fuse does. Then it goes to your rheostat so you can dim or brighten these when you're in the car. But then it goes to another joint, or the end of the joint connector. It's the same one, which is this one. And then it goes to your other lights for your switches, which we just talked about. So what I think we should do is pull this joint connector out of the equation. If we pull the joint connector out of the equation, let me find a schematic. If we pull this joint connector out of the equation and the draw goes away, we know it's on this side of the joint connector and we can start troubleshooting, isolating one at a time. If it's not on the joint connector, then we know it's in the wiring, in the bulbs, the license plate, the tail light or something, or the right side marker light. So now where is that joint connector at? Well, that joint connector is photo 49. And photo 49 is right here. There's your M82 joint connector. Flasher units under the dash, crash pad remove back fuse. So we got to look at that, because that's your joint connector. So what we're going to do now is probably go after that next. Alrighty, since we're blowing so many fuses over there, what we're going to do now is use this fuse saver. We got a 10 amp fuse saver. We're going to plug it in with this here into the fuse box, and then if it pops, it'll, which it will until we find the problem. This is a 10 amp one. It'll pop the circuit, let it cool off, we'll reset it. You can also put this buzzer in line. It'll buzz when it's shorted. So we're going to hook that up next. And I think we're going to go after that joint connector, like we said in that picture, and unhook it, because the joint connector controls everything in the car illumination. The other one, the harness, is just outside the car. So we know which way we're going, in or out. Story of my life. All right. So you can hear the buzzer. Turn it on again. can hear the buzzer, and it popped it right there. You can see it's white, it popped it. We put a 5 amp one in, just because the 10 amp one we're doing, it blew another fuse up under the hood. So we put a 5 amp one in with that kit. We put the 10 amp one in, it actually blew this fuse going to the relay. So we fixed that with that 20 amp fuse. So now we can use that tool instead of blowing all these fuses to troubleshoot this. So what I want to do now is these are the outside lights, and then it goes to A, which is our joint connector, which is our inside lights. We're going to find this joint connector, isolate that, and see if it's inside or outside. All right, so we went down here. We found the joint connector, which is like it's like a comb on a GM vehicle. Pulled that out, which is way up under there in the back. If I can get right there. Pulled that out. And right now, if you turn the lights on, because remember, that comb is for the inside stuff. But if you go now, the lights work on the back right. This one doesn't work because I don't have a bulb for it. And the lights work up here, right there in the corner. The running light. So that's all good. So that means it's not exterior, it's interior. What that means is this fuse going through here, all this stuff's good. It's on the comb side, which is interior. Exterior is good. Now it's going to the inside. So we'll go to the 120-4. And there's a 20 pin connector. This wire here is pin 2 over. It's a red with a black tracer. All the other ones are blue. We're going to jump the power wire to this one, see if it shorts. Power wire to this one, see if it shorts. And find out which one's shorting. And then go down that circuit. Well, all right. So we took that comb out. Obviously, we put it back in now. And we tried to jump across each terminal. And nothing ever went. Nothing ever blew. Everything's plugged in. And if you look, the lights work. The illuminations on all this stuff works. The lights in the back work, and it's not blowing now. So we're like, okay, well, why is it not blowing now? Is it something that wire was chafing? We looked at all that under there. There's nothing chafing, and if it did, it's against plastic. We're just gonna basically, we wiggle the crap out of these harnesses. Nothing came back. It's not gonna be in that shorting bar, the junction block, because that's the job of it. We're gonna make sure all these switches and everything in that circuit is lit up. Maybe one of those is not lit up, and that was the short. And we'll put it all back together and go from there. All right, so we've been checking all the light bulbs and all the illumination and all that stuff. And, well, if you look, just to kind of, I'm not going to go for everything, but like all these are lit up. Dash is lit up. Steering wheel, clock, the stuff on the door. It's kind of weird. I just saw myself. That was weird. I thought I flipped my camera around. All these switches, glove box, all that stuff's good. However, that light's good. This one on the trunk's good. License plate lights are good. That one's good down there. This one we need to get a bulb for. But this one's not lit up. Either the bulb's bad or that is our problem. More to come. All right, so that bulb on the trunk was not the problem. It was a loose connection in the socket, so we fixed that. We replaced the other bulb on the right rear. Everything's good now for all these lights, exterior and all the lights, interior, everything works good, no issues. Put it all back together. We drove it around a few times, scanned it, everything is good to go. There's no issues at all. So obviously there was a short to ground in that harness down there somewhere, and I was moving the fuse box around, the relays, the junction box, or the joint connector around, put everything back in. It's been good ever since. I checked it again this morning because I started filming this yesterday. Checked it again last night and this morning. Still nothing. It's been working awesome. So whatever was shorted is obviously fixed now. Now, is it going to come back? We don't know that for sure, right? I mean, I could open that entire harness up and see, but where it was chafing at, there was one little piece where it's chafing on metal, but it wasn't through the insulation. So I moved that out of the way, and that was a different wire anyways to the fuse box. And all the other stuff that was chafing was against plastic. So we moved all that stuff around. It's all good. If it does come back, we're gonna have to open up the harness, but everything is working as advertised now. So that is it for this video.